Please welcome Jiji Lee.
So it's a beautiful summer day in Barcelona, and I'm in a cramped hotel room watching I Am Legend in dub Spanish. My first solo trip, my first big adventure isn't turning out as I had planned. This trip is part of a bigger personal project to get out of my comfort zone, to become a better person, the kind of person who can get a boyfriend. At that time in my life, I was pretty lonely and very unlucky with guys. I had just gotten dumped by a guy who was shorter than me, and he was like, do you mind if we're just friends? I just really want to focus on my music. He wanted to be a rock star. And so I was like, okay, that's great. But this is just not how I vision boarded my life. Like, I wasn't supposed to get dumped by petite musicians. And after that, I just felt like maybe there's something wrong with me, because like I couldn't seem to get into a relationship, and everyone I knew was in a relationship. And I just embarked on this like self-growth extravaganza where I like read all these self-help books. I started doing community service. I got bangs, like all the hopes that I would become this new awesome person. Which brings me to Barcelona. So my first night in Barcelona was awesome. Like, I met up with these people that I knew, and they're actually here tonight. And we like went out to the discoteca, and it was really fun. And then the next day, all the people I knew went out of town, and so I was like by myself, and I got bored of hanging out with myself. And so I just stayed in my hotel room, and after the like 5th sci-fi movie, I was like, maybe I should leave the room. And so I decided to go out to dinner, and I go to this restaurant, and I sit in the bar alone, and I notice that across from me is this waiter slicing jamon, and he's like staring in my direction and smiling at me, and I was like, oh, okay. And at the end of the night, he comes over and he drops off his number. And I was like, oh my God, I have game in Europe. And so the next day I call him, he doesn't pick up, I don't leave a message. And I go out and I come back to my hotel, and the waiter is standing in front of my hotel waiting for me. And he's like, oh, I called the missed call, and when it was a hotel I figured it was you. And I was like, oh my God, European men are so proactive. I like this. And so we go for a walk, me and Saeed. That's his real name, and you'll find out why. So we go for a walk, and he's like 6 foot tall, tan, doesn't speak a lick of English, which is fine because I used to volunteer as an ESL teacher, and our conversations are not unlike the exercises we did in class. So it was like, I like movies. I like movies. I like laundry, not so much. And so like we're walking, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, oh, he's not as cute as I remembered when I had like a full bottle of wine to myself. And like I can't stop staring at his outfit. It's like a bright, tight purple shirt and like really tight white jeans, and it's like more Euro than I'm comfortable with. And like I'm staring at his outfit, and I am reminded of this book that my roommate told me to read. It's called The 7 Levels of Intimacy, which sounds like a video game that Oprah created. And the book is basically about like how you have to let go of your fears and like let go of your judgment to be in a relationship. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop judging this guy's pants and just go with the flow. So we're walking, and he wants to take me out to dinner, and I'm like, oh, well, since I'm with a local, maybe we'll go somewhere cool. And he takes me to the Hard Rock Cafe. And throughout the meal, he's telling me in Spanish like how beautiful I am, and he says, me gustan tus ojos pequeños, which means, I like your small eyes. And I was like, oh, thanks. Weird. And he just kept repeating this throughout dinner, like, me gustan tus ojos pequeños. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And he's like, because they're like this. And I was like, okay, I get it. And like finally, I just had to make out with him just so he would stop talking. And by the next day, I end up kind of falling for him. What happened? Like, Barcelona is a very romantic city, and I don't know, I just felt like I had never met someone that's so kind and caring, and he liked to take me out for doner kebabs. It was like really nice. And my only hesitation was that like I couldn't tell if he was stupid or just foreign. same restaurant for 5 years, just slicing jamon. Never worked up to being a waiter. But then I was like, well, you know, it's Europe. That's like an art form. And so we had this like routine where like he'd go to work during the day and I would like explore the city on my own, which was like so fun. I love traveling alone because like when you find the right subway line, you feel like it's the biggest accomplishment. And I just felt so happy. And then at the end of the day, I would like meet up with him and we'd have doner kebabs. And by the end of my trip, I was starting to get a little sad that I was gonna like leave him. And I actually emailed my friend who's also here tonight. And I was like, I think like I'm gonna like maybe delay my plane ticket and like stay here. And she's like, no. So the last day in Barcelona, my last day in Barcelona, he takes me to the airport. And we go to my gate and we have these like tearful goodbyes. It's very dramatic, and I love it. And he's like, "You'll always have a friend here in Barcelona." And I was like, "Oh." And I come back to New York and I just feel like a different person. Like I just feel so confident, and I just want to wear scarves all the time. And I don't know, like meeting like a shorty in Europe, I just felt like renewed. Until the emails start. So he starts emailing me and he's like, oh, I love you, I miss you so much, but I can't get over all the spelling and grammatical errors. And they're written in Spanish. And I feel like I, as a non-native Spanish speaker, should not point out your Spanish grammatical mistakes. And we were friends on Facebook, and he would post like sad songs, like sad videos on his Facebook, and his status updates would just be like sad song lyrics, and I was like, oh my god, you're one of those people. And so I just like started ignoring him, and then he would email me being like, why are you ignoring me? Are you mad at me? I miss your eyes. Oh my god, like I prayed that a hormone would like fall in his hand and he couldn't type anymore. And so I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks, and then one day he emails me and he's like, I miss you so much, I love you, blah blah blah. And the entire message is written on the subject line of the email. Do that. And my friend jokes and she's like, oh my god, wouldn't it be funny if he like came to New York and surprised you and waited in front of your apartment building? And I was like, oh hell no. And so I like blocked him on email and I blocked him on Facebook. And okay, maybe it was a mistake. Like maybe I just blocked the one guy who would ever truly adore me just because he didn't have like spell check. But I don't know, like for some reason, like after Barcelona, I thought like just because like a petite musician dumped me once doesn't mean I have to settle for the first guy that likes me. So I held out, and I was single for a very, very long time afterwards, and it was not easy. But eventually, I did meet my now boyfriend, and I didn't have to go all the way to Barcelona, just an improv class. Thank you.